Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Thompson wants to be our congressman, wants to beat out Dan Boren in the fall. I guess there's a primary coming up first, right, in July?
That is correct, July 27th.
And why? And you're a veterinarian from
Holbrook.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And ex-military, 20 years or 30
25 years.
And you want to be our congressman.
I want to be your congressman.
Tell us why.
And the reason that I want to be your congressman is very simple. I believe that as a nation, as a country, we are headed in the wrong direction. We are headed toward the shores of socialism, if you will. And I want to do my part to turn this ship called the United States back around toward those shores of liberty and freedom, just as our founding fathers had intended them to be.
And I see in your literature here you want to get rid of the Obama health care plan?
I'm hoping that we can get at least a simple majority in the House and Senate both, and that we can vote to repeal, just completely repeal that health care plan. Of course, the president may very well veto it, probably would veto it, but at least we could, get that much done. At least we would weaken it. We would certainly send, as the Congress, we would send the very clear message to the president that we don't like this, we don't want this.
Are you not against health care for people? Are you against government intrusion in health care?
I am definitely against government intrusion in health care. If you read the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, which is what delineates what Congress can and cannot do, there is nothing in there that gives Congress or any part of the federal government the authority to get involved in health care. So I'm completely against it.
How do you think you could address the health care issues of the country?
Well, the first thing we need to do is talk about tort reform. We need to cut out the frivolous lawsuits that are there. We need to allow you and everyone else to go and pick and choose what health care packages they want. Give people freedom. We're supposed to be a free nation. We'll give people freedom. Let them choose health care packages that are appropriate for them. If you're a 25-year-old and you're very healthy and you want a package that covers just catastrophic type things because you skydive on the weekend, then do that. If you're 65 years old, you have chronic health issues, then do something that'll accommodate that.
Mm-hmm. What do you... Dan Boren has pretty much been an Obama yes man. Mm-hmm. Would you say that?
Definitely.
And what are some of the other issues that Boren is different than you?
Well, I think the first thing we have to look at is that a vote for Boren is a vote for Pelosi. And Boren has shown us 3 times that he will vote, or has voted for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House 3 times. And Thomas Jefferson said that, in essence, we can judge the future by looking at the past. And so we know, based upon Dan Boren's past, that we are pretty certain that he's going to vote for her again. So that is the first thing I will do. I would never vote for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House, and not just because she is in a different party that I'm in, but because of the fact that she's bad for the country. Dan Boren is all about guns, or so he says. Yet he didn't argue against the health care bill, and in the health care bill there is a clause in there that says owning a gun is a risk factor. Well, if he's so much in favor of guns and so much in favor of the Second Amendment, then why didn't he stand up and argue against the health care bill based upon that one clause alone? Dan Boren voted to raise the debt ceiling. This does nothing but just burden our children and our grandchildren more and more with unbelievable debt, and they're never going to be able to get out of debt. Dan Boren voted for the stimulus package, and part of that stimulus package went to the pornography industry. Dan Boren probably didn't know that because of the fact that he didn't read any of it, or it was all kept hush-hush and nobody was told what was in it. But either way, those are some basic differences that I have with him.
Do you think we can balance the budget?
I'm sorry?
Do you think we can balance the federal budget?
I know we can balance the budget. There's 535 members of Congress in the House and the Senate both, and I know very well that we can balance the budget. It's a matter of will. And if the American people, in this case, if Congress has the will to do it, they can do it. It's just a matter of they just haven't had the courage to do it yet. And I say courage because it's going to take courage, because there are going to have to be some cuts made, and it's going to have to take some courage in order to get it done.
If we had to cut everything by 10% across the board in order to balance the budget, should it include Social Security?
Well, Social Security shouldn't be in the purview of the federal government in the first place. Again, go back to Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, and there's nothing in there about Social Security. There's nothing in there about that would even lead you to believe that the federal government has the authority or the leeway to set up a social program such as that. There's nothing in there. Our founding fathers would be rolling over in their graves if they saw what Social Security is today. So Social Security needs to be taken completely out of the hands of the federal government and be completely privatized. Each individual should ultimately be responsible for their own retirement. Now, having said that, for the folks who are of a certain age and they're depending upon this Social Security now, it's their money. They put their money into it. So we can't just go pull the plug on Social Security and for those who are receiving it now say, well, too bad, so sad. We can't do that. We've got to take care of those folks because it's their money in the first place. But there has to be a transition period where we start paying less into Social Security and it starts being privatized and more people have the option to put into it or not put into it.
How do you ever get the demagoguery to stop so there can be an intelligent discussion on Social Security and balancing the budget? I mean, if you wanted to, there's enough buzzwords just in this video to take it out of context and hammer you, and you speak the truth. I mean, how can we get 435 congressmen to stand up and be counted?
The way I think it's going to happen is long term. I don't think anything. If I'm elected January 2011, I don't think I'll be able to accomplish this stuff in the first 6 months, in the first year. What is going to be required is that I stay in Congress for a while, and I don't know what that while period is, but I need to stay there for a while and consistently live out conservative values and consistently show my conviction to the American people, to the people of Eastern Oklahoma, to this conservative idea, consistently show it, and over time you will make an impression, enough of an impression that people will start to listen to you. When I say people, I mean the other members of Congress. They'll start to listen to you and they'll start to respect you and they'll start to think, well, maybe this isn't such a bad idea after all. It's going to take a long time. It will not happen in a year. It won't happen in 2 years. It's going to take several years to get rid of the health care bill, to transition Social Security out of the federal government's hands. It's going to take a lot of time to do a lot of things.
What's your background?
I am a veterinarian, have been a veterinarian for 13 years now, and I spent 25 years in the military. My wife and I have been married 20 years. We have 3 children, and I'm on the school board where my kids go to school.
Good for you. And what about your veterinary practice?
I was working, I've spent some time in private practice, but until just 2 weeks ago today, I was working for a veterinary pharmaceutical company, and 2 weeks ago today, I decided to run for this campaign full time.
Really? Great. Good for you. Anything else? Any other message you'd like to tell our viewers?
Well, yes, actually, visit my website. It's just www.thompson4ok.com, and the 4 in there is either FOR or the number 4, either one. We own both of those domains. Visit my website. There's a whole lot more. There's illegal immigration that we didn't talk about, which is a huge issue. And I guess if we've got time, I'll get on that for just a second.
Sure.
I am a member of the Texas Border Volunteers, and before anybody takes that out of context, the Texas Border Volunteers is a volunteer group down in South Texas. They go to the border and they simply work in a spot and report capacity with the Border Patrol. They don't do any arrests, they don't do any of the macho stuff. They just simply see the illegal immigrants coming across, call the Border Patrol, keep track of those illegal immigrants as they're moving around, tell the Border Patrol where they are. It's a great bunch of men and women.
So you go down and volunteer for that
group?
Right.
Like I said, I've been a member of that group for about 3 years or so, and it's a great bunch of men and women who are just adamant about simply protecting the country, and that's all there is to it. So we've got to do something with the border, and when I say something, we've got to close the border. And again, you look at Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15, and Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, and the United States federal government is clearly charged with repelling invasions, and suppressing insurrections. There have been so many insurrection-type words come out of some of the protests, it's just unbelievable, and obviously the border is just wide open, and so the federal government is not doing its job at all with regard to our border there. So again, just visit my website, see where I stand on a number of these issues, and I'll tell you, I could use your help.
Good. Nice meeting you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.